Hi everyone. On behalf of ET Government, I welcome Mr. Sudhir Kanvinde, Executive Director, Information Technology, Indian Ports Association, which comes under Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways, Government of India. Today's interview with Mr. Sudhir Kanvinde with our guest today is part of our Digitech series. I am T. Radhakrishna, Editor, ET Government. Mr. Sudhir, welcome to ET Government. Sir, Indian Ports Association was constituted in way back 1966 under Societies Registration Act, primarily with the idea of fostering the growth and development of all major ports which are under the supervisory control of the ministry. Over the years, the association has consolidated its activities and grown strength by strength and is considered to be the think tank for the ports with the ultimate goal of integrating the maritime sector. I just want to understand you in your current position as Executive Director IT, which are the key responsibilities that you oversee, if you can?
Yeah, this is Sudhir Kanvinde, Executive Director IT, and thank you for giving this opportunity. And as I mentioned earlier, I was with private sector for 25 years and then moved to public in the under government IPA, which is apex body under direct control of Minister of Ports, Waters and Shipping Way. So if you see the name recently changed. The earlier name of the ministry was Ministry of Shipping. Now ports is included in the name of the ministry, and that's the impact of ports.
Okay.
And the port plays a it's a vital role in the economy of the nation. So my current role is to make sure that all 13 ports, major ports, are digitized, and the digitization is for save time, save money, and save environment. That is the main role. So I have initiated two major projects. One is started before I joined, which is PCS 1X, and now we are working on enterprise business solution, and we are also working on Vision 2030.
Okay. So the IPA's main objective is to make India a major player in maritime trade, creating international standards in port operations, and utilizing the tremendous potential of our country's almost 7,500 plus kilometer long coastline. What has the organization, how organization has transformed over the years, and what is its IT history in IPA? If you can just give me some background, that will be wonderful.
Yeah, as you mentioned, 7,000 kilometers of sea coast and 13 major ports. 70% of cargo shipment is through sea. And if you consider volume wise, 90% of consignment move through shipping way. So efficiency at ports will directly contribute to GDP. So cost saving through automation, paperless operation is the need of the hour. And as I mentioned earlier, plan is to move forward Vision 2030. So digital initiatives have taken long back. Like in 2006, they implemented PCS. I joined in 2019, but 2016 6 onwards, PCS was there. Port Community System. Port is a kind of an ecosystem, and now plan is PCS is a seamless integration. So development will be achieved only through digitization. That's what ministry realized. Hence, we started this automation and working towards digitization of ports. So current and the future demands cannot meet through legacy system. So legacy systems were there, like independent individual ports, individual data centers, and but the demand is so high. So to cater to that demand, digitization we started. So the journey started in 2006, and then the actual speed started, like moving on cloud, API integration, everything started from 2018 and 19.
Okay. Now, as you mentioned, IPA being a nodal agency, uh, gone with the centralized uniform web port community
Yeah.
system covering all major ports to
Yeah.
move towards a paperless regime
Yes.
as part of its collective and collaborative and cooperative approach to EDI implementation for the benefit of all your members of the port community. Does it cover non major ports also? I mean,
Yeah. So this particular system is available for everyone. So there are 19 ports are now connected. Almost all shipping agents, shipping lines are part of this. The exchange is happening across all these stakeholders. So this is a benefit for everybody. And in other countries, there are charges. They charge for membership or for login or to get data or to submit data. But in India, we have given this free of cost. There is no charge at this point, and whoever, all shipping lines, shipping agents, cargo containers, everybody can connect to this, and they get benefit out of it. So the count is like lakhs and lakhs of transaction every day, and the seamless integration between ports, between these all agents are happening at this point.
can you elaborate the PCS initiative on its some of the key features, some giving some examples?
So I can give one example, like considering this COVID situation. When we started, PCS 1X was live, and there was an initiatives on how to handle, because suddenly this is not this second wave, but during the first wave, suddenly everything stopped, right? There was no cargo in the sense there containers were flooding, but there was no courier service. And in shipping lines, what happens is, there are, when you send any consignment, there are 27 touch points. So with PCS 1X, we migrated that entire touch points into integration and seamless movement of data with by means of API, by means of so everything was. But this we started this initiative much before COVID, and suddenly COVID appears. Now the
Okay.
problem was how to handle this bill of lading. So bill of lading, if you know, is like a title paper. It's a physical paper. Ownership remains with that person who holds that paper, and there was no courier. So we initiated this EBL with blockchain technology, which helped us a lot. And eBay bill started coming through blockchain technology. So this was implemented during last month, that's the last June, basically in 2020, and which helped us a lot in clearing consignments.
Okay. In such a project like PCS, generally, do you have your own in-house development team, or do you normally outsource or identify your partner to build such a software, environment for you?
So we have multiple, but there was a normally, since this is a considering government organization, we need to float tender, and tender is given to whoever is like best pricing and technical solution, as well as pricing part. So we basically give outsource that particular the big project, but at the same time we try to make sure that nodal officers or project manager for specific, like for finance model, for MMPP, SD, in-house, because it's really difficult to get a port kind of a experience. Say, for example, now PCS is connecting to multiple stakeholders, like port health organization. It connects to customs. It connects to immigration department, DGLL. At the same time, lot of other stakeholders, who submit documents, stewards. It's like a birthing. Basically, birthing is now online. Earlier, they used to have a big meeting, still happening. I'm not saying now birthing meetings are not there. So all this thing is now online. So to answer your question, we have in-house management, project management team, and we outsource that to vendors based on the tendering process.
Mr. Sudhir, do you see a vast difference between before COVID and after COVID, the role of IT heads in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic? government institutions and organizations are realize the importance of technology adoption, how these technologies will help in day-to-day their operation, and also, as you rightly mentioned, building future-ready organization. Can you elaborate on the role of IT heads?
Yeah, so IT is like, we have 13 ports, and earlier those 13 ports, IT heads were called as EDP head. So when I joined, I first changed that to IT head to Chief Information Officer.
Okay.
So now my all IT heads are not EDP heads; they are Chief Information Officers. And now government knows, as well as port, because all these ports are trust, and chairman is the kind of head for that particular trust, like Jain Jawaharlal Nehru Port Trust or Mumbai Port Trust. And now they realize that IT is really required, with current situation, not only in COVID, but such a large, because port is not a small, kind of a bus station or something. It's like a full ecosystem. To handle this, they need strong IT backbone. It's not like just keeping lights on or maintaining data center, but they need to do IoT stuff. They need to make sure that how birthing can be, faster. I'll give one example. Getting approval is a big, kind of, because you submit a lot of paper files and all the stuff. But because of, thanks to COVID, like, we started getting approvals pretty fast. We started implementing e-office, basic thing. But e-office is very important in government sector, because all this data needs to be secured, and then there's a org structure, because when you submit any file, because all approvals are on file, and moving files or paper during COVID was a big risk. So we started this project, and go live was sometime in December 2020. But you'll not believe, we have gone live with all approvals, everything, and we rolled out at four major ports, this project in June 2020. So the target go live was December 2020. We preponed and rolled out just because we got all approvals on time. Everybody was ready to work. We gave training on video conferencing. So which was not the case earlier. People used to travel, and then change management was a little difficult in port sector. But because of this COVID, we started and implemented e-office. So everything on document management system in a secured way. And all files are now going from one to another, everything online, and everything is transparent.
As part of your 2030 vision, as you mentioned, how do you see the role of technology in fulfilling the vision for future requirements?
For example, 2030 is a kind of, it's a huge, it's not only technology, but it's like transshipment and everything. So uh, what we are doing is, we have identified around 57 digital initiatives, and we have categorized those into priority 1, priority 2, priority 3. And we are starting with priority 1. There are 20 sets of technologies. I can name those, like next generation VTMS. Then we are also have initiated digital twin. I am sure many, it's like they're in many European country, like in Rotterdam port, or even Singapore port. They are also working on this. But at the same time, we have also taken that initiative of digital twin and next gen VTMS. So these are the two kind of technologies. But yes, we are moving towards 57 altogether technologies, which will totally, kind of change the scenario of. So we are moving, from digitized ports to fully automated smart port.
Is there any influence of Atmanirbhar Bharat Yojana on Indian Port Association, or did you identify any some of the activities part of this Yojana? If you can elaborate on that.
Yeah, so Atmanirbhar Bharat, or we whenever there is a kind of tender, we float tender, and whenever there are bidders, so SMEs get priority. So that is kind of direction that SMEs, we should make sure that SMEs are there and they participate. We also have now scheduled one 2 day seminar where we are going to invite all startups, and all port CIOs will be part of that meeting, and we are going to see what all port specific initiatives or port specific programs are developed, or any application or any concept. And if we like those, will they will be part of this vision 2030. So we want to involve everybody, in this vision 2030. It's a very huge project, so we want to make sure that every all IITs or any kind of entrepreneur, if they want to, they can participate in this workshop.
Working in a cohesive manner, government, academia, research, and startups is a significant, combo to, working together. That is what most of the government institutions, perhaps after COVID, they realized the importance. Is there, in your scheme of things, do you see that, working with the academia, working with R&D, working with the, I mean, you already mentioned startups, I'm sure it is part of it. Can you elaborate on your ongoing activities?
Yeah, we are absolutely, we are already started working on this, as mentioned, next gen VTMS. So IIT Chennai, they are supporting us in this initiative. And there are many international universities are also approached us from Australia, from Japan. But our first main aim is to make sure that in-house, like in within our country, if we can do something. So, but at the same time, we need to study, because some ports are quite advanced than our ports. So it's kind of should be a win-win situation. So we have already started working with academias in India, like major IITs. Then there are some shipping specific institutes. With them also we are working. We are working very closely with Navy, because they are very strong in cyber security. So cyber security, because all this seamless integration, data integration, or huge big data, processing that data, and thousands of stakeholders. Uh, if security is must, right? Without security, so we are working with many institutions in India, and we are open for any additional kind of contracts, or working together with academias.
Some ports are being converted or developed as a airports, mini airports, in collaboration with Navy and state governments are pursuing that. In fact, Ministry of Civil Aviation is encouraging such initiatives where ports have a facility. And in this regard, do you have anything to share with us, since it is not part of your
Yeah, it's
technology?
not. Yeah. So actually, Mumbai port is a huge land. At the same time, Mumbai port is converted as a international cruise terminal, and in last year, we received almost 200 plus cruise were supposed to come to India, come to Mumbai. And then there was a big cruise terminal. Cruise terminal is already in place, plus some special economic zones, kind of restaurants. So it's like it was a kind of a great plan, but unfortunately because of COVID, this got delayed. But Mumbai Port International Cruise Terminal is amazing. If once this situation pass, everybody should go and visit. And there's already started Mumbai Mandwa, that ferry. Similarly, Mumbai to Goa shipping service also was started, but now it stands still. Now actually that big cruise this thing ship is now converted into hospital. So I think yeah. So there's a huge kind of initiative in this direction. Airports, I'm not sure, but cruise terminal and recreation center was in plan, or rather is almost ready, waiting for an opportunity.
How big is the India Port Association as an organization and its key strength, especially your IT
So
department?
uh, so we work, IT department is like we have 13 ports, so entire is like a one group. So every port, because it's not a very kind of a big organization. See, IPA is a apex body under direct control of ministry.
Yeah.
And so we handle all support ministry as well as ports, starting from like pay scale to everything, like a lot of initiatives. And this is governed by governing body, which is all 13 major ports chairman, and whoever is the senior most, he becomes a senior most IS become a chairman of IPA. So this is how this works, and we work very closely with all 13 ports. So my team size, if you say, you know, CIO of JNPT or CIO of Mumbai Port, they report to their department head or FAO or sometimes deputy chairman, and dotted line to IPA. So this is how it works. But we are in a process of restructuring, considering this Vision 2030. We need a very strong team, and the team needs to get connected to each other very is kind of, it should be a bonded, because now what is happening is IT department is also handling their local task or their routine activities, while Vision 3030 is a center of excellence. So we are in the process of forming center of excellence for Vision 2030. So all my colleagues from ports will be part of this, all, like not every 100%, but very key resources will be part of this center of excellence.
Just want to understand. I mean, such a big organization controlling complete port sector. What kind of IT investments generally do you have in a 5-year plan or 10-year plan?
Yeah, 10-year plan is a huge kind of, for next 2 3 years, around 300 crore investment is required. Now, considering, cost, but there's a lot of return of investment. So exact amount I'll not be, but this we are also working on whether to go ahead with PPP model or what is the best option. So, but
So,
it's huge requirement, yeah.
yeah, so far, I mean, you have implemented ERP, you have implemented enterprise applications, then you have come out with the PCS. And who are all, I mean, I'm sure it must be technology partner with you. I mean,
Yeah.
who are all these technology partners? Can you name some of them? Who is
Yeah, we are working with, it's like it's on the public domain. This EBS project, which we are working right now, is 324 crore project. And we have implementation partner as Tech Mahindra, which shortlisted. This was done before I joined, actually.
Okay.
2016, they started.
Okay.
DPR was generated, and then 2018, they awarded this project to Tech Mahindra.
Okay.
We have EY as a project management consultant for this project, for many other initiatives like for NLP, National Logistics Portal. BCG was handling this entire study. So 2030 is prepared by BCG, but
Okay.
with the same with the resources from IPA as well.
As part of strategic priorities of any organization, emerging technologies are being used in the government institutions. Now, your RFIDs, your blockchains, and drones, underwater technologies are normally becoming part of the port sector. In your case, can you elaborate technologies that will influence or encourage ports to adopt maybe in the next 2 to 3 years?
Yeah, so before we go on that, basically issue right now, what we are trying to solve is 13 ports, 13 different setups, 13 different organizations. Now, since that was my first project, I started building one uh, EBS, which is Enterprise Business Solution for all 13 ports, and we started with 6 ports.
Okay.
When we studied, there are around 1800 processes. So even if somebody moves from Mumbai port to Cochin port, he will have a totally different processes there in finance or in traffic or in marine. So we narrowed down from 1800, like 1800 processes to 163 processes.
Okay.
Then we are going, because you cannot bring all technologies, because say VTMS, we are using one VTMS for JNPT and Mumbai port. Similarly, RFIDs or So what we have done is we have initiated one POS, one ERP, and on cloud. So no data center at ports. We'll have a small data center for network switches or for some legacy systems, but everything will be on cloud. So that is our basically main initiative right now. After that, as I mentioned, there are 57 technologies. So out of 57 technologies, we are targeting with very few technologies, which is VTMS, and then other one is gate model. Say for example, RFID, as you mentioned. So how we can implement this fencing, e-fencing, or through GPS. So that also we are exploring. So we'll have in fact we have connected e-Vahan and e-Sarthi to PCS1X. Now PCS1X to NLP. NLP is National Logistics Portal. So where, see, in PCS1X, we are connecting only local bodies. So NLP, we are not only connecting only port specific vendors or stakeholders, but entire EXIM stakeholders like exporter, importer, everybody. Like one can not monitor consignment. Suppose if you are in transshipment, you are sending any, exporting any material from factory to port, entire monitoring will be done. So we are also working in collaboration with road ministry, where they are collecting data at every toll plaza. So how that data, we can link that with our systems. Already started, work is already started. So this is how we are initiating in the first this thing, and then we'll bring a lot of other technologies. So that is in pipeline. So once we next generation VTMS, or there are a lot of other uh, this thing is like mooring, how this draft, say for example, when we move, from like whenever ship comes to, when we board, so we call it berthing time, like enter and then exit after once the installation, or once the containers are moved. So we are working on this all these activities. So for first step is to make sure that the data center and everything is on cloud. There is no port specific data center. Then DR should be there. And once all these things are in place, then we are going for the kind of next solution, like develop digital twin, which I already mentioned. Then also we are working on implement IoT based data aggregation from port infra and to asset monitoring, because it's a huge asset inventory is there. So how to manage those assets. Then e-gate. E-gate, there are multiple, because right now some ports are having a very nice RFID solution. So one possibility is that we may study that RFID and then implement similar technology at other ports, or we will proceed with e-fencing. So that meetings and everything uh, is going on right now. Then there are technologies like drone-based aerial surveillance, then implement advanced analytics, because if you see data available, huge data. So in EBS, what we have started is we are now digitizing that data. So lakhs and lakhs of files are there even in Mumbai port. So currently scanning and everything is happening. Calcutta ports is 150-year old port. Imagine, what kind of data is there, how we can use that data. Currently the data is there, but in the physical format. Only scanning or digitizing is also not going to help. We need to make sure that content, how to remove content of. Similarly, we are also working on implementing 7-dimensional beam. So this will help. We are planning to install sensors and study the entire flow of what is the best time, because there are some thumb rules. There are some experts, they know when to bring a ship into for berthing. What is the, but this 7D beam give us more inputs, more ideas, how what is the best option in weather conditions, or in similarly, we're also working on RPA based document verification system for logistics operations. Then we are basically the whole, the port most important is underwater nil clearance system. So for that we are, AR, VR modeling we are using. And it's just a prototype. We have identified some like sensors we have already installed at Kandla port. If that works, we will kind of roll out the similar model at other ports and automate pilotage, automated berthing and automated mooring operations. So these are the kind of a next step. So there are multiple technologies available. Out of that, there are first 20 we are targeting. Once that is successful at 2 ports, we will roll out those 20 technologies to other ports and then move to other remaining like second phase and third phase. So entire plan is for next 10 years.
Your plate is more than full.
Yeah, it's like overflowing. So we actually have a meeting tomorrow with all chairmen. I'm going to present them what all, manpower required, what kind of, and we need project management consultants also for this, as well as we also need some DPR. Some are like we are trying for the first time, but immediate is new generation VTMS and digital twin. That is immediately in hands right now, along with enterprise business solution project.
Mr. Sudhir, my last question to you. Considering that our budgets are normally done for 1 year, every organization plans 1 year. So such a vision 2030, you have several initiatives under that vision. So how do you plan, mobilize the funding pattern for IT projects, whether it is done internally by your governing body under IPA, or does it require your ministry's concurrence approval as well?
Yeah, up to certain level, all ports, because all 13 ports, they contribute for all these initiatives, like for PCS 1X or EBS. But for Vision 2030, we are exploring. I'm not expert in how to find funding, but I have done in my earlier role. So I'm just helping them out in. I was working on the road sector earlier, and I was able to get some money from JICA. So trying to work on this PPP model, because amount of kind of funding required is very high. But for say for prototype for 2 ports is not that big. Once we are successful, we'll get funding either from ministry or through PPP model. But currently, IPA is run with funding from all 13 ports.
So Sudhir Kanvande, thank you very much talking to ET government.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Thanks.